Hello and welcome to this edition of the Questionable Album Club, where our panel of music fans, I'm stop saying experts, music fans, we all listen to a derided artifact from music history, and we talk about it for an hour, and then we put it on our Top Gear style leaderboard. I'll just talk about that. I'll talk about for today's album was my turn to come up with the album. And my choice was the seventh and final Wings album from 1979, Back to the Egg. So that's what we're talking about today, and it's up against. I'll just go through our top 10. So it's gonna hopefully it'll break our top 10. So from I'll count down from 10. Number 10, bizarrely, is that Chris? What's his name?
Cornell.
Chris Cornell album, the bloke from Soundgarden, Scream, his pop album. That's at number 10, unbelievably. Metal Machine Music by Lou Reed, number 8. 7, Dog Eat Dog by Joni Mitchell. 6, Grinder Man 2. 5, God Hates Us All by Slayer. Number 4, Van Halen 3. Number 3, The Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesties. Number 2, the Buggles' Yes album, Drama. And number 1, still topping the list, is the such an anachronism, this album being here. Of course, it's the Yes Please by the Happy Mondays is our number 1, is our record to beat. So on the panel today, we've got Steve Gibson. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
We've got Steve Hackett. We've got double Steving today. We've got Ross English. Hello, Ross.
Evening.
And we've got Simon Ward, who's just finished his cigarette. Hello, Simon.
Hello.
I'll edit that bit out. Don't worry.
Yeah. We had to wait here while Simon finished his cigarette, just to make his full talk while Simon smoked his.
Most people don't know that I smoke, so.
Oh, don't they? I'm sorry. Was that why?
Yeah.
This won't be in the final thing. Don't worry, it's all fine. Steve's a brilliant editor. Anyway, so I sort of the reason I chose this album is because Wings seemed like a kind of an archetypal Questionable Album Club band. They were. It's the fact. I think simply the fact that Alan Partridge's favourite band just gets them automatically into the zone where we need to be. And this was the I myself, I'm a big Beatles fan. We've never really done the Beatles on this podcast because they're so predictable, and there are so many. There are probably like 100 podcasts just about the Beatles. So I think the only thing. So I'm interested by Wings because there was a best of came out about in 2001 called Wingspan. It was a double thing. It had a lenticular cover. It had hands like that, whatever. And I bought it at the time, thinking, "Oh, I've never done Wings. Oh, it's perfect. This is what I need." And I just remember at the time, it was all just major key. It was all just. I was like, "Oh, it had a few bits," but I just remember thinking, "Okay, well, that's Wings. That's Wings done for me." But as I've got older, I'm in my 50s. It's getting into me. It's getting its hooks into me, and I actually quite like Wings. But I didn't know this album, and I only know a few of them. And I kind of every now and again I go into a Wings album, get into it a little bit, and feel a bit dirty, like kind of sort of like I won't go where I was going to go, and then I sort of put them away again. So I've actually really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the whole concept of going to a Wings album. It's given me a chance to listen to it much more than I normally would. So I'd like to thank myself for that. Steve Gibson, I know you're a massive. What's the frog chorus one? You love that one, don't you?
That's my favourite Beatles song. I don't love the Beatles. And there you go. I've said it. And all through my life, people like me have had to. I've even had someone say to me, "They're the best band in the world, and you know it. Stop trying to be cool." This is the attitude you get. Now, before everyone jumps down my throat, I respect the legacy. I understand that the sun won't rise in the morning because it wouldn't have risen if McCartney and Lennon hadn't fucking got together. So I get it. I get the legacy, but I don't like the music. I don't really like pop music. So what am I doing here? Good question. It's a cry for help, actually. So anyone listening to this, get me. I'm locked in a room. I'm locked in a room with a load of shit albums. Help. So anyway, but me being me, Mr. I'll give everything a chance. So the opportunity with Wings. I mean, looking at I've even been less interested in Paul McCartney's solo stuff. I mean, I didn't enjoy Spies Like Us or Once Upon a Long Ago. There's a massive argument, in my opinion, to say that he obviously had a bit of a creative spike when he was with the other fella, and he's lived off it ever since. But maybe I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm a deep cut Wings guy. Who knows? So I'll leave it there, and when we go around again, I'll fill you in on how I found the album, shall I?
Love that. I love that. I'm gonna change my Twitter bio to like I'm a deep cut wings guy. You know, deep cut wings guy. It's so good. Sums us all up.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll find out. Keep watching, and you'll find out soon. Ross.
Yeah.
You look like a Wings fan, man.
Well, thank you very much. What does a Wings fan look like? I mean, start with the Beatles. It's it's nothing original to say, but by far and away my favourite band. And the music just keeps giving. An ideal night in for me, and I am a fun date. Is me, a bottle of wine, the Beatles back catalogue, and Ian McDonald's Revolution in the head to read along to the songs, because they do keep getting on. But that's so far so unoriginal. In terms of their solo stuff, Lennon, late 80s, early 90s, I was utterly obsessed by John Lennon. And to the point that I still think if the call to mastermind comes, the life and work in John Lennon is still my specialist subject. I think other solo artists have overtaken him in my affection now, but he's still up there. I mean, what you don't see here when we're doing it. Actually, hang on.
Is it me or was Ross just talking about John Lennon? What's
I'm
John Lennon
overlooked
got to do with fucking
hang on. So I'm overlooked by Bob Dylan and John Lennon. So those are my two touch points there. So I know his work back to front. I know George Harrison's pretty damn well, but McCartney's always been something where I've had lots of gaps. So I own some Paul McCartney, I own some Wings, but I sort of lost bits because he always seemed the most infuriating artist, that he could do absolutely brilliant stuffs and then turn on a sixpence and do really sort of family favourite mediocre, what Lennon used to call his granny music. So he can do Jet and then he can do Mull of Kintyre. And he can be involved in things like, I don't know, Give My Regards to Broad Street. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen Give My Regards to Broad Street, but I've never seen a film with a thinner plot. I mean, it makes, Alvin and the Chipmunks, the road chip, look like Citizen Kane.
So he has got one No More Lonely Nights on it. Yeah,
and other things. It's and I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will spoil the ending. The ending is it was all a dream. I mean, that's the level of film. So I always thought he was just so infuriating because he could hit these utter heights and then go complete to the depth. So I sort of lost him. But then during lockdown, I bought McCartney 3, which came out in about 2020, and I really liked that album. And so that made me go back and say, oh, maybe I'm missing stuff here. And during lockdown, I did a big deep dive from McCartney and Wings all the way along and listened to all the albums several times, as we do on these things. There were highs and there were lows. And I think I'll leave where Back to the Egg comes in there.
Nice. Simon Ward, Wings. You don't strike me as a Wings fan, but what's your history with Wings? You can boringly fucking witter on about the Beatles for 5 minutes first if you want to.
I don't think there's really any need for me to do that. Once again, I find myself in strong agreement with Steve.
Oh God.
I just don't understand the Beatles at all. I mean, I agree with Steve. They've got the leg. I understand that they invented entire genres with one song, and there are a few good songs and a few really great songs in their back catalogue, in my opinion. But the rest of it is just utter dross, and I just don't understand what people see in them. I really don't. But hey. That's about as predictable a Beatles opinion as yours, Ross. I mean, every Beatles opinion is predictable because no one ever fucking shuts up about them. So, but yes, I feel your pain, Steve. Oh, you're just trying to be cool. No, I don't like the Beatles. In terms of my history with Wings, I realised during the conversation that I knew more Wings songs than I thought I did previously, because I know Mull of Kintyre. I think I bought Spies Like Us because I liked the film, but I was only about 12, probably 14.
That wasn't Wings.
Oh, was it Paul McCartney? Okay, fine. And other than that, I know the Bond theme one, Live and Let Die. Quite like that. Best thing Guns N' Roses ever did was when they covered that. And
fucking hell.
Live and Let Die.
That's the one where he goes,
give me some reggae.
Seen that?
I don't know. I just said it to wind you up. Anyway, And the other one that I know is Band on the Run, because I used to have Guitar Hero on the Wii with the drums and two guitars, and we had some neighbours who used to come round, and Band on the Run came up one time, and I mentioned how much I hated that song, and so every time I asked Pete what he wanted to play, he said Band on the Run. And then he bought me a copy of the Band on the Run LP cover for Christmas one year. But apart from that, no, I don't know anything about Wings. I haven't done any research beyond this album. So, yeah, mine is a completely greenfield opinion on this.
Myself and Simon have come at it pure. We're pure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we're pure stance on this, I feel.
I'm feeling a bit emotional now. Steve Hackett.
I love the Beatles. The Beatles we're talking about first. I mean, I'm like, like most people our generation, I sort of grew up with the Red and the Blue album. It was my introduction to music, and it got me into music in the first place. I fucking love the Beatles. I won't hear a word against them. Wings.
You're in the wrong place, mate.
I know.
I beg to differ, Steve.
I am what I am. Wings is a weird one because I'm like you, Seb. I never got past the greatest hits, really. I had that first greatest hits thing when it came.
The one with the woman on it.
Yeah, the one with the Indian Buddha thing on or whatever. And I never really got past it. I mean, I remember them being massive when I grew up. Obviously, I do remember that. Every older cousin, uncle, they all had. You never see Plastic Ono Band or George Harrison in the collection. You would always see. Venus and Mars, Red Rose Speedway, always there. They were absolutely massive, huge thing. Always loved the greatest hits. I thought, you can't deny he's a fantastic songwriter. My big problem with them was, it was just the greatest hits. And when I started to listen to music properly, take it really seriously, 12, 13 maybe, it was Mull of Kintyre, wasn't it? Which sort of, I don't know what your memories of that time.
It was number one for about 6 years, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
I think it's still the fourth biggest single of all time in the UK.
So frustrating. You wait for a new number one. It was just this fucking dross week after week. And it was a thing, because every household had the single, obviously. And I don't know if you remember, it had a flip, which was quite, it was one of McCartney's sort of rockers called Girls' School, And so I used to play Mull of Kintyre all the time, and then it get taken off and Girls' School put on and what have you. But, I fell out of love with them then. And then the other thing I remember was I used to go around to a mate's house, and his dad was a massive fan, and he had that album that came out at the time. And I think it was London Town. It must have been 70. It was about the punk time, you know what I mean?
78. London Town was the one before this.
It was the one before. See, I thought that was the last one. I didn't realise. Back to the... anyway, he used to play it all the time. I think he thought he was, impressing the kids or whatever. And I fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. It's a terrible album from start to finish. So that was me and Wings finishing. I didn't realise. I thought Back to the Egg was an earlier one. I didn't realise that they had this album, and I knew nothing from it. Absolutely nothing from it. So it's been fun, like you say, doing a bit of a deep dive into it. I've taken it a bit more seriously this time. I've listened to it loads, and there you go. Yeah,
nice. London Town was the one where they were essentially reduced to a three-piece. It was because they went through. Think about the Wings. They went through a lot of people, a lot of musicians. They kind of because he treated them like we're a real band. When they went on their first tour, they went on toured all the universities and stuff. Well, no, we're not going to play. They didn't play any Beatles songs. We're a real band, but Macca just kind of gave him a kind of daily rate. They didn't get any royalties. I think Denny Lane co-wrote Mull of Kintyre, but just got a flat rate for it. Never saw any of the royalties. So even he at the end, and he was like his most loyal thing through the whole Wings era. Where he just, I've had enough. I can't bear this, and just walked out. So the fact it was a band worked very much to McCartney's advantage. And the fact I think a lot of the musicians didn't like. I think when Wings started, Linda was. I think he was like, I want Linda to be with me wherever I go. And the only way to really make that happen is if she joins the band as well. And of course, she was a non-musician, so he kind of taught her the keyboards. So I think a lot of the other musicians who went through Wings, and there were a lot of them, they all ended up sort of resenting Linda because she was in the band and she was giving us all this sort of stuff, and she literally would play with. There were a lot of, I don't know if you remember this, there were leaked recordings of her
backing
vocals. Linda singing backing vocals and her piano thing, which is a little bit cruel, but I think she was a non-musician who was sort of dragged into this thing. So I think there was the psychology and the the business, and I think a lot of the stuff that came along with Wings was somewhat dysfunctional, and and I think you're right. I think when Wings started, the first 2 albums were super critically derided, which is Wildlife, which I really love, and Red Rose Speedway, which I also really love, and then Band on the Run, which that was suddenly this massive success, and it's brilliant. That's my favourite Wings album. The only one I love as a kind of piece of art that compares with, in my opinion, with Beatles. I think it's just fantastic. And then I don't know any ones after that until this. And so, but Band on the Run kind of cemented got them big and rich and famous, and then they got Venus and Mars, all that sort of stuff. They're huge in America, massive tours. It was like, and then this one got terrible reviews, and it was so badly reviewed they didn't tour. He got busted for drugs in Japan, and then that was the end of Wings, and he just went solo again with Tug of War. So that's everything I have to say about it. Steve, do you want to tell me what you thought of it?
I normally kind of, as well as listening to it, listen to a couple of podcasts, listen to a couple of Beatles fan things on YouTube, see what they're saying about the album, and it's like coming up against a brick wall with this lot, because if it's Beatles, they're even talking about this album being punky and new wave influenced.
It is,
and it
is.
I sat there in disbelief. These people weren't obviously never heard any punk or new wave, in my opinion.
It's a little bit.
No. Let me finish, mate. Let me finish. Yeah, you'll say.
I was making the objective.
Come back and prove the new wave punkiness to me. I'm all ears. Believe me.
Okay,
I'm all ears. Timestamps, please. And this also coincided with a podcast that I like, A Word in Your Ear, when they're interviewing Stuart McConey about his new Beatles book, which is all about random people who've bumped into the Beatles. And I'm just thinking, how much fucking dirt, how much from the bottom of this fucking keg, all my life, all I've heard about is incessant fucking pointless stories about the fucking Beatles. How much can you fucking drag out of it? So on the back of this, I put on Back to the Egg, settled back, and it was exactly what I expected it to be. It never quite rocked as hard as Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John, which people who don't like rock music say is a rocker, and it was like that all the way through. And this undeniable songwriting. This is fucking shocking. That first track, put the lyrics up and listen to it. It's absolute. I shouldn't have to tell you because you're all such big fans. Put it on. It's absolute. It's again mediocrity gone mad. The best thing I can say about it is, it's not a cynical corporate album, which is an instant 0 from me. So a little bit of a spoiler, it's not going to get a 0, but I was just bored senseless. And again, second album running, I couldn't listen to the albums either side because it's just, I haven't got time in my life to be this bored. Or there's just nothing about it. And this, I mean, I was still, the only thing that made it vaguely entertaining was laughing at the people on this podcast saying it was talking about at length about the new wave and punk influences. So I haven't really got much more to say about this than that, apart from the instrumental rocker, which just had me cringing, because music like this has me on the verge of cringing anyway, because it doesn't rock, does it? It's just mediocrity gone mad, and it's just pointless. And then, but the one, it's even called Rockerville or something, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's instrumental, and it's just
orchestra theme.
Yeah, it's so
Steve, you know what that is, right?
I don't want to know.
But you know who's playing on that? There's 2 songs. It's Rockers the 3 minutes, and it's So Glad to See You Here. But it's all of Led Zeppelin. Well, it's John Bonham, John Paul Jones, Pete Townsend. It's like a Hank Marvin. It's a really bizarre supergroup situation.
I'm not a massive fan of Led Zeppelin or either, so I'm not surprised. It's so cringy. It's so cringy. So it was a very difficult, very, very difficult, cringy, boring listen, and devoid of anything exciting or anything that will take me forward. So I'll leave it there. But it's not a 0. Because it's not corporately. It's not a cynical corporate thing. So I'll end on a positive note.
But yeah, who was after Steve? Ross. Yeah,
I agree that I can't hear the punk influences. I think in some way there are some more glam influences on a couple of tracks. A couple of them sound like they were produced by The Sweet. But I like this album. I really like this album. I think I would go as far as to say that if you can get rid of the sort of like the couple of like talky bits where it oddly puts people reading and speaking, which just don't fit anywhere, I don't think there's a bad track on it. I don't think it's its best. You know, I don't think it's a top of the pops. But I really liked it. If I have a criticism, it's stylistically all over the place, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It does have a feeling of a bit of an odds and sods, and we're going to throw some stuff out there. McCartney can, lyrically, he can be cheesy. He has that tendency. I've always thought my main criticism of McCartney is that he can't write a middle eight. He always just goes to relative minor and carries on for a while and then picks up again. And the best Beatles songs or the best middle eights of his are when someone else wrote it. But all that said, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I played it more times than I needed to in order to make an assessment on this. I've actually been putting on to enjoying it and whistling along, and some of the tunes have been stuck in my head. And I don't mind him singing about salamanders on the first track. I think it's all just really tuneful and really nice. And actually, as the Wings thing, when I did the deep dive during lockdown, generally my opinion was that if you took out the McCartney solo albums with the word McCartney in the title, 1, 2, and 3, or McCartney 2 and 3, generally Wings was superior to Paul McCartney's in his back catalogue. And I quite like most of the Wings thing, and I think this is up there. I think it's certainly better than London Town, which is the low point of the Wings' career, especially that track of taking the mick out of groupies. I mean, that's just horrible to listen to. I was reading some of the reviews, the contemporary reviews of it, and I don't recognise the album from the reviews, and it's really odd. And I do think that he gets treated by the music press much more harshly than Lennon and Harrison ever did. I mean, Lennon was treated very much more harshly by the non-music press. But if you compare like this to the Back to the Egg to the George Harrison album, which was out in the same year, his eponymous album, that's being hailed as a continued to return to form, or this one's getting slated. And you put them side by side, and to be honest, quality-wise, they're pretty similar. And then you go back to like 1970 when they're all just free of the Beatles, and you get these 3 albums out, which All Things Must Pass by Harrison, Plastic Ono Bound by Lennon, and McCartney by McCartney. And you read the reviews of that, and Harrison is fated as the newly born, free of the Beatles songwriter. Plastic Ono Bound gets pretty good reviews, or not universally, and McCartney is slated. But you put those 3 together, and actually McCartney is a fantastic album. And so it's somewhere along the line he pissed off someone. And if you read some of the reviews, it's always tied up with him splitting up the Beatles, even though he didn't. And it's almost like he's never was forgiven for that in the 70s. And so everything was always like the McCartney reviews were, and he split up the Beatles for this, rather than looking at the music. And I think it's still following him by this point, because 79, the Beatles are not fashionable. And McCartney seems to be the one who it's easy to have a pop at, because he can do this sort of family-friendly, nice stuff, and he's always the one who seems to be eager to please. Whereas
Ross, I totally hear what you're saying. And I think I don't think it's a personal thing. I think it's because of his there's too much stuff in a major key. Especially early 70s. There's no edginess to McCartney. The sun is sunny, smiley.
It's obvious.
His default is major key, right? And every now and again it's wonderful. It's like My Love, or sometimes it's just beautiful. He has a knack. And I think that's what it is. It's relentless. I don't know any other artist at all who has so many consecutive songs that are just in a major key. And it's a massive Achilles heel for him. And I think that's what it is. Even McCartney 1, McCartney 2. Temporary secretary, all that sort of stuff. It's all major key stuff, and it's good despite its major key stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think Bound on the Run is absolutely terrific as an album. That's something I play regularly. I like At the Speed of Sound. I don't think it was that well received, but I think that's a really good album. And and then of course it's really weird watching McCartney, because it's not like he's doing his solo stuff after or before Wings. It's all in between. So you have
it's weird, isn't it?
9, and then you have McCartney 2 in 80, and I think that this album and McCartney 2, but back to back, are really good. I think Tug of War is okay. I think he loses it at Pipes a Piece, and then it's really sketchy until really 2020. But no, so as Q Magazine always point out, a big Macca thumbs up for me.
Really interesting. Really interesting. I can't imagine any two opinions being more different than Steve and Ross. That's fascinating. Simon, you don't strike me as a terribly major key kind of a guy.
Yeah, I can explain to you why Paul McCartney got singled out for press punishment. Is because he's a thumbs up grinning twat, isn't he? Like he should be on Saturday on the TV on Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, that's why he's the Noel Edmonds of pop music. So as you can imagine, I wasn't expecting to like this record, and
but
well, I did my intensive listening to this quite early on in the cycle. So that was a little while ago now, a couple of weeks ago. And I got so confused by there's so many different styles of music on it that I resorted to, and apologies for doing this, I resorted to writing notes for each song so that I could remember which one it was I thought what about. And I went back and looked at them over the last couple of days and listened to the record, and I think I was so surprised that I didn't hate it that I was a bit too generous in some of these comments. But if you don't mind, I'll go rip through them very quickly. I haven't written anything about the first track because that just sounded like the stuff you hear on US cop shows in the 70s. Second track, Getting Close, I've written, I can't tell if this is Paul McCartney trying to sound like Graham Parker and the Rumour, or if Graham Parker and the Rumour sound like Wings. I thought the outro on that song was really good. I disagree with you, Steve. I think there's a lot of new wave influence on here. I don't know whether, because I don't know the Beatles or Paul McCartney or anybody else to do with the Beatles' back catalogue. I don't know whether those sort of crappy pub rock new wave bands stole it from Wings or whether Wings stole it from them. But anyway, we're open tonight. I've written this is really good. When I listen to it again, I think that's probably a bit generous. Spin It On, I've written I really like this. And when I listen to it again, I really like it. It's overdoing it, but it's not bad. I'd like to hear it done by Billy Childish. I think it would sound great done by Billy Childish.
I love the gliss in the vocal.
So this is something that I noticed throughout. So there's a million different genres on here, but there does seem to be a bit of new wave influence, I think. But the production on it is glorious. The engineering and the production, regardless of the music, just the sound of it, I think is wonderful. At times it's almost as good as Rumours, which in my understanding is god tier production. So anyway, again and again and again, and what I've written there is, oh yeah, now I remember why I can't stand Paul McCartney. This is shit pub rock made even worse by too many chords. In other words, it sounds like Squeeze, and there aren't many worse insults than that.
That was Denny Lane, that one.
What?
That was Denny Lane wrote and sang that one, I think.
Who's Denny Lane?
The guitarist.
He was in the Moody Blues.
So, but then the real surprise,
better,
the real surprise was Old Siam Sir. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I love Old Siam Sir. Yeah. I've got no idea what it's about, but then I read something where Linda McCartney, who wrote the lyrics, said she doesn't know what it's about either. But I just really like it.
Linda wrote the little keyboard hook at the beginning.
Oh, I like that bit. Okay, good. And then we get to the kind of pivotal point. I can't work out whether I really hate Arrow Through Me or whether I really like it. I'm somewhere at either extreme, but I'm definitely not in the middle. So that's the one that starts with sounds like a Bauhaus or a Susie the Banshees kind of chorusy bass line. And then it goes into some of that sort of awful swingers party music that like sort of Lionel Richie or something. But then it's got these glorious horns where the choruses should be. And I love those so much. I can't work out whether the rest of it is kind of a setup for that and therefore it's great, or whether it's just a dreadful song and those happen to be in there. But then it starts to go downhill. So Rockestra Theme, I've said, sounds like Ocean Colour Scene jamming with Jules Holland on Later. And if you know how I feel about Ocean Colour Scene and or Jules Holland's boogie fucking woogie piano, you'll understand that I dislike this song with a passion. And then To You, I think, is a fairly decent new wave song. It's another one of the ones that gets better as it goes on, I think. Then you get into After the Ball, A Million Miles. I can't be doing that kind of glossy barroom blues bollocks. And the Million Miles bit sounds like plastic gospel. It's completely unnecessary and stupid. Winter Rose / Love Awake. I was starting to get a bit annoyed by the whole album at this point. Winter Rose is just a waste of my time. And a note to Sir Paul, sticking the shit songs together in pairs doesn't make them any less shit. So then what have we got? The Broadcast. I'm not sure what was going on there, but I think it's probably racist. So Glad to See You Here is a pleasing break for the last 20 minutes initially, but then ends up sounding like a Beatles album track, which is not a good thing. And my only notes that I've got for the final track, Baby's Request, are in block capitals, Paul McCartney is a fucking cunt. I've never heard such an objectionable piece of music since the last time I listened to one of his terrible pieces of music. So I've ended up kind of back with my view of this album is very much like my view of the Beatles. There's one great song, two tolerable songs, and then a load of really disgustingly bad dross.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much. Steve Hackett.
He's just ruined it for me. I'll answer your conundrum.
Yeah.
Simon, I sort of agree with you on that one. It's Arrow Through Me. Is it called Arrow Through Me?
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like a yacht rock classic. I've been making a sort of playlist of tracks that I've been enjoying from the albums that we've been doing, and that's right up there. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's like that Michael McDonald one on Dog Eat Dog. Fucking brilliant tune, start to finish. That one at the end, I agree. It's just awful, isn't it? What's it called? The 940s type thing.
Baby's Request. Have you seen the video of them in the...
Terrible. I agree. I like Old Siam, Sir. I think that was a single, was it, off the album or something?
Yeah.
But I think is it about Time Bride or something? Is that what it is? I couldn't work it out.
It's about, so I did look that one up because I was curious, because I was a bit concerned that the one that I liked might also be a bit racist.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be about the experience of an Asian woman moving to the UK and the culture shock that she experiences.
Okay. Look, it mentions Scarborough, and that's good enough for me. And that one you put, those two ballads are just shocking, aren't they? That Million Miles thing, I don't know if anyone notices. He starts singing Deo, which is an immediate red flag, isn't it? He sort of did for Sting big time, that sort of thing, And those two ballads joined together, they're truly unlistenable. I don't like them at all. The rest of it, it's pub rock, isn't it? There's about 6 of them that I can't just, like Steve said, they're dull. They're utterly dull, Like you said, the production's fantastic, all of that, but there's nothing to distinguish any of those songs. It's about, two-thirds of the album I find just boring. 25% of it garbage, and the rest I enjoyed. But that's basically only 2 tunes, really. So, yeah.
It was Chris Thomas produced it, who did all the early Pretender stuff. He produced the Sex Pistols stuff. So I know what you mean, Steve. It's like, because it's Paul McCartney, it's hard to kind of discern. But I think the production itself is very sort of that kind of era, that late 70s, early 80s, new wavy. It sounds like a Pretenders record to me. It sounds like the early Pretenders album. It
does sound like that, yeah.
And I didn't know any of the songs. I knew the Rockestra theme. I knew that because it was on the best of I used to have. And I think I agree with Ross. I really enjoyed it. I think there's nothing. There are no amazing, stunning, standout McCartney songs in it, but it's still as a piece of work, as an album. I think it sounds lovely. There's enough lovely pop moments. It's very, you never know what you're going to get with it. You never what you're going to get sonically. It's all the different styles. You never, and I think it just works as a he's interested in what he's doing. He's engaged with what he's doing, and it's not, as Steve said, it's not corporate, it's not cynical. It sounds like they're doing it for the right reasons. A lot of these songs are imperfect, and that's part of the charm. I'm charmed by it, and I think there's enough good points through staging posts that you think, I like this, or I like this one. I like Getting Closer. I like Spin It On. I think the Denny Lane song again and again and again is really good. I like To You is really good. I like the So Glad to See You Here was really good. And I went back and I watched yeah, there was I think I put a link in the comments to there was a TV made for TV film of them sort of miming doing videos for about 6 of these songs. So I watched that, and it's not particularly interesting. I mean, because it's the songs from the album, like they're miming along. But I went back and watched a kind of live concert when they had a horn section. I think it was the Wings Over America tour, one before this, with Jimmy McCulloch, the amazing guitar player who died very young of alcoholism. And it's so great, and I don't know. It's complicated. I think this sort of stuff because Wings. I don't know how I feel about it.
It isn't.
It isn't. No, it's not.
I always find that difficulty is when you're dealing with a Beatle is about what you're comparing this to. Are you comparing this to Abbey Road, which anything can fall short? Are you comparing it to the other Beatles? Well, Ringo aside, or is that a fair comparison, or are you just comparing it to itself and what's going on at the time? And that is, as a Beatles fan, that's always in my mind when I'm hearing Macca sing stuff about what's my frame of reference here.
Yeah,
exactly right. I think that's exactly right. You can't. It's nothing like George Harrison's solo. It's nothing like Lennon's solo. So you can only really compare it to the Beatles, can't you? And what can you do with that?
My comparison is always my comparison with Paul McCartney is this as shit as the Frog chorus? And unfortunately, the answer was yes a couple of times in this album.
I think the thing is, it's so easy to the thing with Paul McCartney, unlike John Lennon. John Lennon, died in 45 years ago. Harrison died a long time ago. Ringo, thank God, doesn't put out solo stuff apart from every sporadically all-star albums and stuff. So, but the thing about McCartney is that he's been prolific. He's put out a lot of material, and he's toured a lot. He's had lots of different bands, lots of solo albums, lots of group stuff. So, and with his tendency to make some schmaltzy stuff, he's a really easy target. And I think, and that does it. That works,
and then we would have left him alone.
That works against him. You know what I mean? Of course, people are always comparing the Beatles. I don't.
Him putting shit stuff out works against him. Yeah, we can agree with that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Frog chorus, and there's a lot of shit stuff. If you've been around putting out music constantly, at least an album a year for over 50 years, there's going to be some dog shit and the diamonds. But I suppose I always kind of look on the positive side. I think you and Simon are kind of like impress me because it's going to be shit, and I'm kind of like, well, I know some of it's going to be shit, but I know that some of it's going to be good. Do you know what I mean? It's the glass half full or half empty.
Another problem for me is the fact that I started my working life in 1988, and that we were forced to listen. The radio was just on. You didn't have a choice. The radio was just on in this place. And at that point, Radio 1 was still playing the Beatles all the time. And I didn't like the Beatles anyway. But after being forced fed it, I don't even hear it anymore. It's just that noise that is the Beatles. I don't even hear the song. It's just, I'm fucking sick of it. And I cannot understand why everybody else isn't as well. And this... It's just a shit fucking solo version of it. It's a distilled little bit of something that's shit. It's the sweet corn out of a piece of fucking dog shit on the pavement that I've had to listen to. That's what it's like. I think
you're mixing your metaphors. Dogs don't eat sweet corn.
Maybe
you're mixing a dog shit with a human
shit. Dogs eat anything. Right?
I want to borrow my copy of Revolution in the Head to read along to the Beatles back catalogue on a Friday night.
Ross. I will decline your offer of dinner. It's all right. But no, I don't think that's because even as kids growing up, they're fucking those chummy twats. There's shitty films on all the time on through the summer and stuff like that. I'm utterly sick of it, and I can't understand why everybody else isn't either. Surely enough's enough. Have a little.
This has got nothing to do with the Beatles. It's a 7-album beyond the Beatles.
Part of the. You can't help. We've all talked a lot about the Beatles tonight because you can't help it. There's no way that they could do anything. Oh, wasn't he in the Beatles? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying Wings on its own without that reference point. It's impossible. I don't
think it is. That's why a lot of people, Beatles fans don't really know Wings very much because they just know it's kind of that sort of cheesy, thumbs uppy. I don't know. Shit that went on in the 70s.
Not from the little bit of research I was doing on YouTube. It seems to be a lot of Beatles podcasts who because they've probably run out of anything else to say.
Well,
They'll
that's
talk about Wings,
probably true. Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, I can't. I've listened to the Beatles albums 14 times in order this week. I better put a Wings one on. I think that's what these people came over to me like.
Yeah.
I'll try a different band. Things have happened since then, and in other genres.
Well, I think being of a certain age, like I say, when I was young, it was all about McCartney's solo albums. You didn't, obviously, that generation, older brothers, uncles, I mean, they're obviously massive Beatles fans. And I say you didn't see them listening to Plastic Ono Band or anything. It was McCartney seemed the obvious extension of the Beatles, and he sort of is, isn't he? I mean, if
it's quite interesting. So it sounds like you all grew up being surrounded by the Beatles.
Mm.
And my parents didn't like them or anything like that. It was just if you had you had the radio and the TV. Oh,
I get that, but so I grew up in a very non-musical household. Although my parents did own 2 Beatles records, they had Help and they had that as an LP, and they had the Blue compilation album, which has got some of the songs that I quite enjoy on it, and I like Ticket to Ride as well. But I didn't really sort of investigate the Beatles until after I didn't really know the Beatles at all. I didn't listen to that Blue tape until I started listening to modern music, and so I was just comparing it with what I was listening to now, and I was thinking, well, this isn't as good as the stuff that's coming out now. Like there's no edge to it, there's no energy to it. It sounds like nursery rhymes a lot of the time. I mean, Octopus's Garden I had on a kids tape that I had when I was like 7. Might have been a Captain Beaky album or something like that, I can't remember, but I mean, it just sounds like childlike kind of fluff. It's not music.
Yeah, but everybody knows that for every masterpiece album, you had an Octopus's Garden, or you had a Maxwell Silver Hammer, or you had a fucking Yellow Submarine, or you had a.
But that's the majority.
It's like Pet Sounds has Sloop John B. Every now and again, sometimes there's a song that shouldn't be there and is obviously politically there, and everyone else hates it, and it's just there forever. I completely agree. Nobody likes Octopus's Garden. Bracken likes it. They're listening to Octopus's Garden at Bracken's nursery. He comes home, asks to play old Octopus's Garden, and that shouldn't be a legacy classic music act, should it? Really, shouldn't appeal to
no. But then at the same time, they were saying I've heard people say about McCartney, for example. So I do quite enjoy the people trying. So first of all, everybody says they like Lennon best, and then if you want to be really cool, you second guess that and you say you like McCartney best, and then you switch back to Lennon because that's double bluffing. And then if you're
Simon, so I disagree. In my experience has been, if you want to be really cool, you say you like George Harrison.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you end up. Yeah. But yes. And I've heard people trying to win the McCartney side of the argument by saying, yes, he wrote Yesterday, but he also wrote Helter Skelter. I'm like, what, is Helter Skelter supposed to be like some sort of hardcore rock and roll song? It's just like...
Simon, have you heard the Motley Crue version?
I sort of agree with you on that, Simon. I think that, with going back to this album, he always seemed, and I don't dislike him at all, when he went, full on rock sort of thing, it always just seemed a little bit ersatz, didn't it?
It's just not. It's not proper. I think I'm not sure exactly of the dates of the Beatles albums, but hadn't the first Stooges album come out by the time that was made? Right. I mean, there is no need for the Beatles in a world that has the Stooges. The Stooges have done everything.
It's a craft. It's like McCartney. Helter Skelter isn't representative of what McCartney's good at. McCartney is a kind of baroque pop. He's like Brian Wilson, like Here, There, and Everywhere, or In My Life. These beautiful little baroque, beautiful objects like Fabergé eggs. They're these exquisitely crafted, beautiful pop songs. And that doesn't mean the Stooges. Just because the Stooges exist doesn't mean that everything else is invalid. Do you know what I mean?
It does.
I agree with you, Seb. That's his strength. That's what he does. He does it brilliantly when he does the rock stuff.
And even the Wings, and the rock stuff isn't. What's weird about this album, though, funnily enough, talking about rock, is his kind of grainy voice, his rock voice on this album. That kind of strained voice. It's explicitly throughout this. That kind of not his normal singing voice. That kind of push the whole way. His voice is like this.
But he's got that, hasn't he? He's got the 2 voices. He's got the yesterday one, and then he's got the one.
Yesterday one again, Simon.
Yesterday. It goes like that. I
thumbnail.
wasn't suggesting
Thumbnail
that.
right there.
I wasn't suggesting that there shouldn't be any other kind of music. But the problem is that the Beatles stuff, the ones that you describe as the little Fabergé eggs, they're in fact those little sugary fried egg sweets that you used to be able to get. That if you ate more than 2 of them, they made you feel sick. I mean, it's just horrible sugary confection. It's not a beautiful little object. It's just mush.
I do wonder whether this is one of the issues around the solo Beatles albums, that the balance of McCartney and Lennon songs on an album with some Harrison thrown in was possibly the perfect balance of stuff. I mean, I love Helter Skelter. I think that's a fantastic song. I also like the Stooges, but I wonder if that balance, and I wonder whether McCartney's albums suffer because they don't have like some Lennon songs in between some of the.
They don't have any good songs in between his songs.
Major
I agree.
Key ones. But I'm not sure. I don't know how far that goes, because I mean, I got into the Beatles via Lennon. You know, the first album I owned was of any of them was Plastic Ono Band, and then I went back into the Beatles. So I was always sort of a Lennon person coming into it, and so I love his solo stuff, and I don't think it misses the McCartney stuff. But I do wonder whether that's just where I came into it, or whether it actually is the balance is missing here.
I agree with you entirely. I mean, in terms of like post-Beatles stuff, it's Plastic Ono Band, isn't it? I mean, it's out there.
It's fantastic. It's wonderful. But it's Yoko and Yoko. For me, it's Yoko, McCartney. Everyone else is Yoko, McCartney, George. I don't really care for John Lennon, or I love Ringo Starr as a drummer, and the voice of Thomas the Tank Engine, of course. Should we go to scores, gents? Should we go to scores? Steve, do you want to, if you could bear us some up? Yeah, you have to sum up.
Well, I'm off to commit Harry Carey because I think I've contributed to yet more fucking Beatles content on the internet, which it does not need. I mean, I profusely apologise for being involved and but I don't know. It's not a 0. I was kind of tossing between 5 and 7 out of 100. Because it's Macca, but the more we've talked about it, the more it's annoyed me. So it's 2 from me.
Was that a 5 and a 757?
No, 5 or 7.
5 or 7.
I was doing that, but the more we talked about it, it's just annoyed me thinking about it. So it's a 2.
It's annoyed you thinking about it. My God, imagine if this. Okay, well, it's not your worst score, is it? We've had minuses from you in the past.
No, we're not allowed minuses. Remember, it's just 0s.
Oh, okay.
Minuses will open up a whole world of pain, won't it?
Yeah,
really?
quite. Yeah. All right, Ross.
Yeah, I think that McCartney, I think in terms of, sorry to talk about the Beatles again, but in terms of like the back catalogues of the 3 songwriting Beatles, it's probably my least favourite, just because of the consistency issue. But I think he still writes some tremendous songs, and he writes stuff which stays in my mind, and I find myself whistling along to, and I really enjoyed this album.
You've talked about whistling quite a lot, Ross. Whistling is kind of weird. Do you really whistle these songs, or is this just a turn of phrase?
I think it's a turn of phrase. I think I'm more singing it in my head with my lips moving and nothing coming out.
Okay.
But I don't know what the term for that is.
Getting even weirder now.
Yes. You haven't seen the worst of it, Steve. So, no, I really enjoyed this. This was a great listen. I'm going to give it 65.
Simon.
I didn't hate it as much as I was expecting to, and I really enjoyed Old Siam Sir. So, mind you, there is that last song. I mean, so probably I would have given it 30 if it wasn't for the last song, but that last song is so offensively bad. I'm going to give it 10.
You're taking off 20% for one song.
Have you heard it?
Yes.
It's just abysmal.
Have you seen the video?
No, I no.
Oh, they're all dressed as Eighth Army. They're set in the desert. I think it's in Canberra Sands or something. No, where is it? Someone know. Do you remember where it was? And McCartney. Oh, you'll love it. You'll love the video.
Okay, well, I'll watch that then, because there'll be more to enjoy about it.
Should I bump you up a bit for having for anticipating seeing the video? Can I put you down for 30?
No. Put me down for 10.
Steve Hackett, come on.
Yeah. Was that a single then, that last song?
No, but the made for TV thing had videos. It had videos and
It was that
with all different themes, and that they were all dressed as soldiers in the desert in the Second World War.
Yeah. So it's not a terrible album by any means. I mean, I'm going to give it 40. I didn't enjoy it that much. I found a lot of it quite bland. Didn't find it bad. I just found it bland. But 20. I mean, Old Siam Serp and thanks, Seb. I would never have heard Arrow Through Me. It's an absolute classic. It's right up my street. You know, to me now, that's the greatest solo song he's ever written. You know, I think it's brilliant. So I'm going to give it 40 overall for me.
Thank you.
But I didn't love it.
Thank you, Steve. I'm going to. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the production. I liked it. And I'm going to give it 64 because, like, when I'm 64, when I'm older, losing my hair many years from now, it's like it's a Macca related score.
Yeah, but this is nothing to do with the Beatles. This is nothing to do with the Beatles. Why?
It's just that I'm touching upon it. So that's it. So Steve, I've done this while everyone was talking. I've done the maths. So Steve Gibson gave it 2 out of 100. Ross gave it 65. Simon 10. Steve Hackett 40. I gave it 64. Altogether, that gives us a mean of 36.2. And I have the leaderboard here. 36.2 puts it 36.2. It puts it between Dada by Alice Cooper. It puts it in like 12th place. It's in between Dada by Alice Cooper and The Eternal Idol by Black Sabbath.
Oh, that top 10's looking pretty tight these days, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. So the sort of, you know, stinky upper teens. Yeah, not too bad, you know. Whose turn is it? Steve Hackett.
It's mine, apparently. Yeah. So up until last Monday, for doing last Monday, I had a choice, and I did a bit of a Keir Starmer U-turn this morning in the car going in, and I don't know really. I think I'm going to go for. I think we should have a conversation about the Doors. You know, with respect to you lot, I thought everyone's got an opinion on the Doors. You haven't done them already, have you?
No.
Please tell me you haven't done them. Thank God.
We haven't done them.
Well, you know, most people have got an opinion on the Doors, haven't they? So I'm going to choose the Soft Parade, the last one that no one really likes, but people might not any of them. But
wasn't Morrison Hotel the last one? Wasn't that penultimate?
Oh God, tell me I'm wrong.
No, sorry. Hello, I Love You. I think was the last one. Was it? Oh, no, LA Woman was the last.
Was it?
I think it goes Doors, Strange Days, Morrison Hotel, Soft Parade, LA Woman.
LA Woman, yeah.
Well, there you go. I'm still going for Soft Parade.
And then in Other Voices, of course, afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's not really Doors, so there you go. But yeah, so that one, I thought, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? I'm sure we all have an opinion on it. Was he a visionary poet, or was he an irritating pisshead?
Touch Me is on that one, right?
It is, yeah. Wild Child, Touch Me. Some of the big, very poppy sort of brassy arrangements and everything. It was quite different from what you'd normally think of from a Doors album. Is that not the last album then? Bloody hell. Okay. Well, anyway, that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the last one. Soft Parade it is, by the Doors.
Right.
Excellent. Good choice, man. We haven't done the Doors.
Yeah,
I'm sure we've all got opinions on the Doors.
Yeah.
I've definitely got opinions on the Doors. Right. Thanks, everyone. That was really fun. And our first ever kind of Beatles adjacent pod. And lots of swearing.
And just before we go, I've got to ask the question, probably just to Seb and Simon. What's the best Beatles song?
We can work it out.
Day in the Life.
Day in the Life. Well, you're both wrong, but you know that's fair enough.
What is it? What is it, Steve?
It's actually you're good choices, but you're both wrong. It's Across the Universe. There you go. That's official. That's not my opinion. That's official.
Ian McDonald doesn't like it. I like it a lot, but Ian McDonald doesn't. He really slags it off in the book.
Really?
Would I be allowed the long medley?
Yes, yes, you would.
I would go that then.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we
do you want the
Beatles, please?
Hang on, Steve, before we stop, do you want one very brief Beatles-related anecdote? When the Breeders got in touch with Steve Albini to do Pod, they said, I think it was Tanya Donnelly speaking to him. She said, "We're going to do a Beatles cover." He went, "Oh yeah, which one? Happiness is a warm cunt."
Right. Well, thanks everyone.
And on that note,
Yeah, quite.
That's the adult
I'll
rating for
definitely
that.
tick the not for kids box.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, or women. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, other Steve.
Cheers.
Thanks, Ross.
Night all.
And thanks, Simon.
thank you.
And thanks for listening. Please subscribe and like and all that sort of stuff. Goodbye.